Camila Vasconcelos built an empire on instincts and ambition. But when a whispered warning sends her undercover into her fiancé's home, she unearths a deception that shatters everything. Betrayed but not broken, she prepares her greatest. Prove yet? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The evening sun cast a golden glow through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Camila Vasconcelos's penthouse office. At 42, she had built Vasconcelos Investments from the ground up, turning it into one of the most successful investment firms in the country. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek bun, and her tailored charcoal suit spoke of power and wealth without having to say a word. "The Rogers account is secured, Ms. Vasconcelos," said Patricia, her assistant, placing a folder on the glass desk. "That's 3 major clients this month alone." Camila nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. Tonight was her 6-month anniversary with Marcelo Santana, and for the first time in years, she felt genuinely happy. At least, she wanted to believe. She was. "Will you be leaving early for your dinner tonight?" Patricia asked with a knowing smile. "Yes," Camila said, allowing herself a small smile. "Marcelo is taking me to that new restaurant overlooking the harbor." After Patricia left, Camila opened her desk drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a platinum watch she'd bought for Marcelo. It wasn't the most expensive gift she could give, but she wanted something meaningful, not flashy. She'd learned the hard way that flaunting wealth often attracted the wrong kind of people. Her phone rang, displaying her best friend's name. "Lucia, I was just thinking about you. Were you thinking about how I'm always right?" Lucia's voice came through, playful but with an undertone of concern. "Have you done the background check yet?" Camila sighed. "No, and I'm not going to. Marcelo isn't like the others. That's what you said about Antonio, and look how that turned out," Lucia reminded her. "I just don't want to see you hurt again." "I appreciate your concern, but this is different. Marcelo has his own successful architecture firm. He doesn't need my money. Everyone can use $1 billion, Camila." After ending the call, Camila stared out at the city skyline. Lucia's words had stirred up old fears. Trust didn't come easily to Camila, not after watching people pretend to care while eyeing her bank account for years. 3 hours later, Camila sat across from Marcelo at the harbor restaurant, watching as candlelight played across his handsome face. At 45, Marcelo Santana had a distinguished look, with salt and pepper hair and warm brown eyes that crinkled when he smiled. "To 6 wonderful months," he said, raising his champagne glass. Camila clinked her glass against his. "And hopefully, many more." "Definitely many more." Marcelo reached across the table and took her hand. "I've never met anyone like you, Camila. You're not just beautiful and successful, you're real." Something in his eyes made her believe him. Maybe this time it was different. Maybe Lucia was wrong. "I have something for you," she said, sliding the velvet box across the table. Marcelo opened it, his eyes widening. "Camila, this is beautiful." He immediately put on the watch, admiring it on his wrist. "I have something for you, too." He pulled out a small box from his jacket pocket and opened it to reveal a stunning diamond ring. Camila's breath caught in her throat. "Camila Vasconcelos, these past 6 months have been the happiest of my life. Will you marry me?" For a moment, all her doubts and fears faded away. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." 2 weeks later, Camila found herself seated in the expansive living room of the Santana family home, surrounded by Marcelo's family. His mother, Gloria, was a slender woman in her 70s who always seemed to be scrutinizing Camila despite her pleasant smiles. His father, Victor, was mostly quiet, occasionally nodding along to his wife's comments. Then there was Marcelo's younger sister, Renata, and her husband, Eduardo, both of whom always seemed a little too interested in Camila's business affairs. "The engagement party next month will be wonderful," Gloria was saying, her diamond bracelets clinking as she gestured. "We've already spoken to the event planner." "Actually," Camila interjected, "I thought we might keep it small. Just close friends and family." "Small?" Gloria's smile faltered. "But darling, this is the society event of the season. Everyone will be expecting an invitation." "Mother," Marcelo said, patting Camila's hand, "if Camila wants something small, that's what we'll do." Gloria and Renata exchanged a quick glance that didn't escape Camilla's notice. Later, as Marcelo walked her to her car, Camilla couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "Your family seems very invested in our wedding plans." "They're just excited," Marcelo assured her. "It's been a while since there's been something to celebrate." Camilla nodded, but the uneasy feeling persisted. The next day at her office, Camilla couldn't focus on work. The looks exchanged between Marcelo's family members kept replaying in her mind. "You're being paranoid," she told herself. But years of business dealings had sharpened her instincts about people, and something didn't feel right. Her intercom buzzed. "Ms. Vasconcelos, your 2 o'clock is here," Patricia announced. "Send them in," Camilla replied, straightening in her chair. The door opened to reveal Lucia, dressed in a vibrant red dress. "I thought you could use a friendly face," she said, setting down 2 coffee cups. "And yes, I know you didn't actually have a 2 o'clock, Camilla smiled gratefully. "You always know when I need you." "So," Lucia said, settling into a chair, "have you set a date yet with Prince Charming?" "Next spring," Camilla answered, "but I can't shake this feeling about his family. They seem interested in my money." Lucia raised an eyebrow. "Now you're listening to your gut? After you've already accepted his proposal?" "It's not Marcelo I'm worried about. It's his family. I caught them exchanging these looks when they thought I wasn't watching." "What kind of looks?" "The kind that say they're not telling me everything." Camilla sighed. "Maybe I'm being paranoid. Or maybe your instincts are finally kicking in," Lucia said. She hesitated before continuing. "I have an idea, but you're going to think it's crazy." "What is it?" "My cousin Rosa works for a cleaning service. They clean Marcelo's family home twice a week." Camilla frowned. "What are you suggesting?" "That maybe you could go in Rosa's place. Just once. See how they act when they don't know you're there." "How you want me to pretend to be a maid in my fiancé's house?" Camilla asked incredulously. "That's ridiculous." "Is it? You said yourself something feels off. This way you could hear what they say when you're not around." Camilla started to dismiss the idea, but paused. Was it really so outlandish? If there was nothing to worry about, she'd put her fears to rest. And if there was something, wouldn't she rather know now? 3 days later, Camilla found herself pulling up to the Santana family home, not in her usual luxury sedan, but in Rosa's modest car. She wore a simple grey uniform and had pulled her hair back, covering most of it with a scarf. Rosa had called in sick, and Camilla was taking her place just for today. Her heart pounded as she walked up to the service entrance, carrying a caddy of cleaning supplies. The family knew Rosa would be sending a replacement, but they had no reason to suspect it would be Camilla. The housekeeper, Maria, barely glanced at her before pointing down the hall. "Start with the living room and dining room. The family is having lunch on the terrace." Camilla nodded, keeping her head down as she made her way to the living room. She began dusting, her ears straining to catch any sound from the terrace. After about 20 minutes, she heard the sliding glass door open and footsteps entering the living room. She kept her back turned, focusing on dusting a bookshelf. "Telling you it's perfect timing," came Renata's voice. "Marcelo finally found a woman who has even more money than that last one, and she actually fell for his charm." Camilla's hand froze mid-dust. "Keep your voice down," Gloria hissed. "The help is here." Renata laughed dismissively. "She doesn't speak English. Maria told us." Camilla remained motionless, realizing they thought she couldn't understand them. "Besides," Renata continued, "once they're married, we'll finally be able to get the company out of debt. I can't believe Eduardo's investment went so wrong." "It wasn't Eduardo's fault," Gloria defended her son-in-law. "No one could have predicted the market crash, but yes, once Marcelo gets access to her accounts, we can set everything right." Camilla's stomach twisted. She carefully moved to another shelf, making sure to stay within earshot. Victor's voice joined the conversation. "I still don't think this is right, using the poor woman like this." "Poor?" Gloria scoffed. "She has billions, Victor. She'll hardly notice the money we need. And Marcelo is doing his part. He's being the perfect fiancé." The sliding door opened again, and Camilla heard Marcelo's voice. "What are you all talking about?" "Just wedding plans," Gloria said smoothly. Have you spoken to Camilla about the prenup yet? Not yet, Marcelo replied. I need to be careful. If I suggest no prenup too eagerly, she might get suspicious. Well, figure it out soon, Renata urged. Eduardo and I can't keep the creditors at bay much longer. We need her money. Don't worry, Marcelo assured them. I know what I'm doing. I've spent months making her trust me. A few more months of playing the devoted husband, and we'll have access to everything we need. Camilla felt as if all the air had been sucked from the room. The duster slipped from her fingers, clattering to the floor. All conversation stopped. Slowly, Camilla turned to face them. The shock on their faces would have been comical under different circumstances. Please, she said, her voice surprisingly steady as she removed the scarf from her head. Don't stop on my account. I find it all fascinating. For a moment, no one moved. Marcelo stood frozen, his face draining of color. Gloria's hand flew to her throat while Renata grabbed Eduardo's arm. Victor looked at the floor, unable to meet Camilla's eyes. Camilla, Marcelo finally managed. This isn't what it sounds like. Camilla smiled coldly. Really? Because it sounds exactly like you and your family planned to marry me for my money to solve your financial problems. I can explain. Save it. Camilla cut him off. She slowly removed the engagement ring from her finger and placed it on the coffee table. I've heard enough explanations from people like you my entire life. She straightened her back, looking each of them in the eye. I built my fortune by recognizing dishonesty when I see it. I should have trusted my instincts about all of you from the beginning. Camilla, please. Marcelo stepped forward, reaching for her hand. She stepped back. Don't touch me. Ever again. She turned to leave but paused at the doorway, looking back at the stunned family. You know what's truly sad? I really did love you, Marcelo. And if you had actually loved me back, I would have helped your family anyway. No schemes necessary. With that, Camilla walked out, her head held high. By the time she reached her car, tears were streaming down her face, but she didn't break. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. As she drove away from the Santana home for the last time, her phone rang. It was Lucia. So? Her friend asked anxiously. What happened? Camilla took a deep breath. You were right. It was all a lie. Oh, Camilla, I'm so sorry. Don't be, Camilla said, wiping away her tears. I needed to know the truth, and now I do. What are you going to do now? Camilla thought for a moment. Despite the pain stabbing at her heart, she felt a strange sense of clarity. First, I'm going to go home and cry. A lot. Then tomorrow, I'm going to get up and remember who I am. Camilla. Vasconcelos doesn't break for anyone, especially not for people who see her as nothing but a bank account. As she drove through the city streets, Camilla realized that while her heart was broken, her spirit wasn't. She had survived worse than Marcelo Santana, and she would survive this too. But first, she would allow herself to grieve for what might have been, for the love she thought was real but turned out to be just another attempt to take what was hers. The truth had been revealed between the walls of the Santana home, and painful as it was, Camilla was grateful she'd discovered it before it was too late. 2 weeks after the devastating revelation at the Santana home, Camilla sat in her office, staring out at the city skyline. The pain hadn't subsided, but she'd channeled it into her work, closing 3 major deals in rapid succession. Ms. Vasconcelos, Patricia's voice came through the intercom. Mr. Reynolds is here for your 10 o'clock. Camilla took a deep breath, straightening the files on her desk. Send him in. The door opened to reveal James Reynolds, a longtime business associate. His expression was sympathetic as he took a seat across from her. I heard about what happened with Marcelo, he said gently. I'm sorry, Camilla. She forced a smile. News travels fast. It's a small business world. For what it's worth, I never trusted the guy. Apparently my judgment isn't what it used to be, Camilla said, opening a folder to change the subject. Let's discuss the Harper merger. After the meeting, Camilla checked her phone and found 6 missed calls from Marcelo. She deleted the notifications without listening to the voicemails. He'd been trying to reach her since that day, but she had nothing to say to him. Her office door opened and Lucia walked in carrying 2 takeout bags. I figured you'd skip lunch again, she said, setting the food on the coffee table by the window. I'm not hungry, Camilla replied, but the aroma of her favorite pasta made her stomach growl in contradiction. Lucia gave her a knowing look. Starving. Yourself won't erase what happened. Neither will burying yourself in work. Reluctantly, Camilla joined her friend on the couch. I feel so stupid, Lucia. All the signs were there. Stop beating yourself up, Lucia said firmly. You wanted to believe in love. That doesn't make you stupid. It makes me naive at my age with my experience. Camilla shook her head. Never again. Don't say that, Lucia protested. One Marcelo Santana doesn't mean all men are like him. Camilla picked at her pasta. His family is apparently telling everyone I left him with no explanation. Playing the victim. Of course they are, Lucia scoffed. What else can they do? Admit they were planning to swindle you? I've had my PR team shut down any rumors, but Camilla was interrupted by her phone. Glancing at the screen, she frowned. It's Rosa. My cousin. What does she want? Lucia asked, surprised. Camilla answered the call. Rosa, is everything okay? Ms. Vasconcelos. Rosa's voice was hushed and urgent. I'm at the Santana house for my regular cleaning. There's something you should know. They're planning something. Camilla's back stiffened. What do you mean? I overheard Mr. Marcelo talking. To his family. They're desperate for money more than I realized. He said if he couldn't get to your fortune through marriage, he'd find another way. Something about a business proposal that would give him access to your company. Camilla's blood ran cold. Did you hear any specifics? Just that he has a meeting with you tomorrow. He seemed confident you would agree to it. After thanking Rosa and ending the call, Camilla turned to Lucia, her expression hard. Seems Marcelo isn't giving up so easily. What are you going to do? Lucia asked. A slow, determined smile spread across Camilla's face. I'm going to give him exactly what he deserves. The next morning, Camilla arrived at her office earlier than usual. She had spent half the night reviewing documents and making phone calls. When Patricia buzzed to announce Marcelo's arrival, she was ready. Send him in, she said, her voice calm and controlled. Marcelo entered, looking appropriately contrite, in his expensive suit. He'd even brought flowers, white lilies, her favorite. Camilla, he began, setting the bouquet on her desk. Thank you for agreeing to see me. This is a business meeting, Marcelo, she replied coolly. Nothing more. He nodded, taking a seat across from her. I understand you're angry, and you have every right to be. What you heard that day, it wasn't the whole story. Save it, Camilla cut him off. I'm only seeing you because you mentioned a business proposition, so let's hear it. Marcelo hesitated, clearly thrown by her directness, but recovered quickly. It's about the Carson Heights development project. Your investment firm has been looking to expand into real estate, and my architecture firm has the exclusive contract for the design. And Camilla raised an eyebrow. I'm proposing a partnership. Vasconcelos Investments provides the capital, and Santana Architects handles the design and construction management. It's a $50 million project, with projected returns of at least triple that amount. Camilla pretended to consider it, tapping her pen against her desk. The proposal does sound interesting. I've actually been looking at the Carson Heights area myself. Hope flickered in Marcelo's eyes. It's a sound investment, Camilla. Whatever happened between us personally, this is just good business. I assume you've brought the proposal documents? She asked. Eagerly, Marcelo pulled a folder from his briefcase and handed it to her. She flipped through it slowly, watching him from the corner of her eye. His confidence was growing with each passing moment. I'll need time to review this properly, she said finally. Of course, he agreed. Take all the time you need. But I should mention there are other investors interested. I'd hate for you to miss out on such an opportunity. Camilla closed the folder. How about we discuss this further over dinner tomorrow? Somewhere neutral, say the Harbor View at 8, Marcelo. Couldn't hide his surprise or his satisfaction. I'd like that. After he left, Patricia came in with a questioning look. Are you sure about this, Ms. Vasconcelos? More than sure, Camilla replied. Call legal and have them meet me in the conference room in an hour and get me everything we have on the Carson Heights project and Santana Architects. That evening, Camilla met with Andrew Matthews, her chief financial investigator, in her home. "Office, what did you find?" she asked, handing him a glass of whiskey. Andrew opened his laptop. "You were right. Santana Architects is drowning in debt. They've been keeping up appearances, but they're about 6 months from bankruptcy. The Carson Heights project is real, but Marcelo doesn't have the exclusive contract. He's one of 3 firms being considered. And the other investors he mentioned? Non-existent," Andrew confirmed. "No one else is seriously looking at partnering with them because of their financial situation." Camilla nodded, unsurprised. "What about their company structure?" "That's where it gets interesting." Andrew pulled up a document. "Santana Architects has some valuable assets and patents, but they're leveraged to the hilt. If they default on their loans, which they're about to do, everything goes to the bank. Unless someone buys out those loans first," Camilla mused. Andrew looked at her with understanding. "Exactly. I've already reached out to their creditors. They're very interested in selling the debt at a discount, just to get it off their books." Camilla smiled, a plan forming in her mind. "Perfect. Get it done as quietly as possible. I don't want the Santanas to know anything until it's too late." The next evening, Camilla arrived at the Harbor View, wearing a stunning red dress, Marcelo's favorite color on her. She spotted him at a quiet corner table, watching the door expectantly. "You look beautiful," he said, standing as she approached. "Thank you," she replied, allowing the maître d' to seat her. "This place still has the best view in the city." Throughout dinner, Camilla let Marcelo believe she was warming to both him and his business proposal. She asked detailed questions about the project, nodding at his enthusiastic responses. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened," she said as they were finishing dessert. "Maybe I overreacted." Marcelo reached across the table for her hand. "Your reaction was understandable. What you heard was taken out of context. Yes, my family has financial troubles, but my feelings for you are real, Camilla." She allowed him to hold her hand, fighting the urge to pull away. "I've enjoyed tonight, Marcelo. Perhaps we could meet again tomorrow to finalize the details of the partnership." His eyes lit up. "Absolutely. My office or yours?" "Actually," Camilla said, "I was thinking we could meet at your family home. If we're going to start fresh, I should clear the air with everyone." Marcelo hesitated. "Are you sure?" "I am," she said with a reassuring smile. "Tell everyone to be there at noon." The next day, Camilla arrived at the Santana home exactly at noon, dressed in a professional navy suit that made her look every inch the powerful businesswoman she was. Andrew and 2 members of her legal team accompanied her. Gloria opened the door, her surprise evident at the entourage. "Camilla, we weren't expecting all of you." "This is a business meeting, Gloria," Camilla replied smoothly. "These are my associates." In the living room, the same one where Camilla had discovered their betrayal, the entire family was waiting. Marcelo came forward, kissing her cheek. "Everything okay?" he whispered. "Perfect," she assured him. "Shall we begin?" Everyone took seats, a tension in the air despite the polite smiles. Camilla remained standing, opening her briefcase to remove several folders. "I've reviewed your proposal for the Carson Heights project," she began. "It's quite ambitious." Marcelo nodded eagerly. "It's going to be the development of the decade." "Except for one small problem," Camilla continued, her voice hardening slightly. "You don't actually have the exclusive contract you claimed. You're one of 3 firms being considered, and given your financial situation, you're the least likely to be chosen." The color drained from Marcelo's face. "There must be some misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Camilla interrupted, passing folders to each family member. "These contain the truth about Santana Architects' financial state. You're not just in trouble, you're about to lose everything." Renata gasped, flipping through the papers. "How did you get this information?" "I'm an investment expert, Renata. Due diligence is what I do." Camilla turned to face Marcelo. "Did you really think I would invest $50 million without investigating first?" "Camilla," Marcelo stood, desperation in his eyes. "We can explain like you were going to explain using me for my money?" She cut in. "Or how you plan to access my company through this fake partnership." Gloria rose shakily. "What is the meaning of this? You invited yourself here just to humiliate us." "No, Gloria," Camilla replied calmly. "I came here to inform You have a business decision I've made. She nodded to Andrew, who distributed another set of documents. As of yesterday, Vasconcelos Investments owns all of Santana Architects' debt. The silence that followed was deafening. Victor was the first to understand, his face paling as he scanned the paperwork. You bought our loans from the banks, all of them, Camilla confirmed, which means I now control your fate. She walked around the room slowly, looking each family member in the eye. I could call in those loans today and watch as everything you've built crumbles. You wouldn't, Marcelo whispered, horrified. Why not? Camilla asked, her voice ice cold. It's just business, right? Isn't that what you told yourself when you planned to steal from me? Eduardo stood up angrily. This is blackmail. It's leverage, Camilla corrected. Something you're all familiar with. She turned back to Marcelo, her expression unreadable. But I'm not like you. I don't destroy people for personal gain. She handed him one final document. This is my actual proposal. Marcelo looked at it, confusion spreading across his face. You're restructuring our debt? With new terms, Camilla nodded. Your company will remain yours, but 30% of all profits will go toward repaying what you owe. Additionally, Santana Architects will provide pro bono services to the community housing project my foundation is funding. Why would you help us? Gloria asked suspiciously. After what happened? Camilla smiled without warmth. I'm not helping you, Gloria. I'm making a sound business decision. Santana Architects has value, just not in the hands of people who don't know how to manage it properly. This arrangement ensures I get my investment back while you learn a very expensive lesson. She closed her briefcase with a snap. Oh, and one more thing. There's a moral clause in the agreement. Any attempt to manipulate or defraud anyone in the future will result in immediate foreclosure. Marcelo stared at the document, speechless. You have until the end of the week to sign, Camilla said, heading for the door. Or don't, and watch everything you have disappear. As she reached the doorway, Marcelo called after her. Camilla, wait. I really did care for you. Despite everything, you have to believe that. She paused, turning back to look at him one last time. The sad thing is, Marcelo, I might have believed you once, but now we'll never know what was real and what was just another lie. With those words, she walked out, her head held high. In her car, Andrew gave her a concerned look. Are you okay? I will be, she replied, staring straight ahead as they drove away from the Santana home. I just proved something important today. What's that? A small, satisfied smile played at the corners of her mouth. That I'm stronger than they ever imagined. Later that evening, as Camilla sat alone in her penthouse with a glass of wine, she finally allowed herself to feel the full weight of the past few weeks. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, but also the pride in how she had handled it. Her phone rang, displaying Lucia's name. It's done, Camilla said when she answered. How do you feel? Lucia asked. Camilla sighed, looking out at the city lights. Like I just closed a very difficult chapter of my life. Well, get ready to open a new one, Lucia said mysteriously. Remember James Reynolds? What about him? He called me today, wanted to know if you might be interested in dinner next week, a purely friendly one, he stressed. I think he's been waiting for a chance with you for years. Camilla shook her head. I'm not ready for that, Lucia. I don't know if I'll ever trust someone like that again. I'm not saying marry the guy, Lucia laughed. Just have dinner. Remember that not everyone is a Santana. After ending the call, Camilla walked to her balcony, gazing out at the night sky. The wound Marcelo had inflicted was still fresh, but for the first time since the betrayal, she felt something new stirring within her. Not hope exactly, but the possibility of it. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. Camila Vasconcelos would never again allow anyone to make her feel less than the strong, capable woman she was. And perhaps someday, when the pain had faded, she might even be ready to risk her heart again. But this time with her eyes wide open. For now, though, she had a business empire to run and a new sense of purpose. The Santanas had tried to break her, but instead, they had only made her stronger. And that was a victory worth celebrating. 1 month after Camilla's confrontation with the Santana family, Life had settled into a new rhythm. The restructuring agreement for Santana Architects had been signed, not happily, but signed nonetheless. Camilla had assigned a financial supervisor to oversee the company's operations, ensuring the terms were followed to the letter. On a sunny Tuesday morning, Camilla stood in front of the full-length mirror in her bedroom, adjusting the jade pendant that hung from her neck. Today was the groundbreaking ceremony for the community housing project, the one Santana Architects was now contractually obligated to design for free. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lucia. "Don't forget dinner tonight with James. No excuses this time." Camilla smiled and shook her head. She had rescheduled twice already, but Lucia was persistent. Perhaps it was time to stop avoiding social engagements altogether. As her driver pulled up to the construction site in the east side of the city, Camilla spotted the crowd of reporters and city officials gathered around a small stage. What she hadn't expected to see was Marcelo, standing awkwardly to the side with his portfolio case. "Ms. Vasconcelos," called out Mayor Wilson, approaching with his hand extended. "This is a wonderful day for our city. Thanks to your foundation, 50 families will have affordable housing by next year." Camilla shook his hand, her smile professional. "It's a project close to my heart, Mayor. Everyone deserves a safe place to call home." As the ceremony began, Camilla took her place on the stage, delivering a brief speech about community investment and second chances. Her eyes scanned the crowd, noticing several familiar faces from her business circle, and Marcelo watching her intently from the back. After the ceremonial first shovel of dirt and the obligatory photos, Camilla was making her way back to her car when Marcelo approached. "The designs are excellent," she said before he could speak, keeping her voice neutral. "Your team did good work." "Thank you," he replied, looking tired but composed. "I supervised every detail personally. I wanted it to be perfect." Camilla nodded, ready to move on, but Marcelo stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Camilla, I know I don't deserve your time, but I need to speak with you, privately." "We have nothing to discuss, Marcelo. The agreement is in place." "It's not about the agreement," he insisted. "It's about my family. There's something you should know." Something in his tone made her pause. "You have 5 minutes," she said finally. "My office, tomorrow at 9. Before he could respond, she was in her car, driving away from the man who had once held and broken her heart. That evening, Camilla sat across from James Reynolds at an intimate restaurant downtown. The conversation had been pleasant, focused mainly on business and mutual acquaintances. "I've always admired how you handle challenges," James was saying, refilling her wine glass. "The way you dealt with the Santana situation was masterful." Camilla raised an eyebrow. "Word gets around." "In our circles, always," James smiled. "But I've known you long enough to know you didn't do it for revenge. You're too smart for that." "It was a business decision," she agreed. "But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel satisfying." James laughed, a warm sound that made Camilla relax slightly. At 50, he was distinguished and successful in his own right. No need to chase her fortune. Perhaps that's why she'd finally agreed to dinner. "Can I ask you something personal?" he said, his expression growing serious. Camilla tensed but nodded. "Why did you believe him in the first place? Marcelo, I mean. You're usually such a good judge of character." The question caught her off guard. She took a sip of wine, considering her answer. He was different, or seemed to be. He talked about architecture with real passion, donated to charity without publicity, remembered small details about conversations we'd had months earlier. She sighed. "And maybe I wanted to believe someone could see me. Just me. Not the bank account." James reached across the table, his hand covering hers briefly. "For what it's worth, I've always seen you, Camilla. The money is just furniture. Impressive furniture, but not the house itself." She smiled at the metaphor. "Careful, James. That almost sounds like flirting." "Almost," he grinned. "I must be losing my touch." The evening ended with a friendly kiss on the cheek and a promise to meet again for lunch the following week. As her car pulled away from the restaurant, Camilla found herself smiling. It wasn't romantic exactly, but it was comfortable. After Marcelo's betrayal, comfortable, felt surprisingly good. The next morning, Camilla arrived at her office early, reviewing reports before Marcelo's appointment. When Patricia announced his arrival, she took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Good morning," he said as he entered, looking more worn than she remembered. The expensive suit couldn't hide the dark circles under his eyes or the weight he'd lost. "You have 5 minutes," Camilla reminded him, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. Marcelo sat down, placing a folder on the desk between them. "First, I want to say thank you. The restructuring agreement saved our company, even though we didn't deserve it. As I said, it was a business decision. I know." He pushed the folder toward her. "But this isn't about business. It's about my family, specifically my sister and her husband." Camilla opened the folder reluctantly, finding bank statements and transaction records inside. "Eduardo has been embezzling from the company for years," Marcelo explained. "And Renata has been covering for him. My parents didn't know. I only discovered it myself after everything happened." Camilla scanned the documents, her trained eye quickly spotting the irregularities. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you own our debt now. Their actions put the repayment at risk and you deserve to know." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration she remembered well. "I've removed them both from the company, but the damage is extensive. And your parents?" "Devastated. My father had a minor heart attack last week when I told them." Camilla looked up sharply. "Is he all right?" "He will be. But they've lost everything. Their savings, their house, they're living with me now." She closed the folder, studying his face for any sign of manipulation. Finding none, she asked, "What do you want from me, Marcelo?" "Nothing," he said simply. "I just thought you should know where your money is going. Eduardo and Renata took enough to put our repayment schedule at risk. So this is a business discussion after all," Camilla concluded. Marcelo stood, buttoning his jacket. "Call it what you want. I'm trying to do the right thing, even if it's too late to matter." As he turned to leave, Camilla found herself speaking. "Wait, what's your plan to address the shortfall?" He faced her again, surprise flickering across his face. "I've taken on additional commercial projects. I'm also selling my house and moving into a smaller apartment with my parents. That won't be enough," she pointed out. "I know," he admitted, "but it's all I can do right now." Camilla tapped her pen against the desk, a habit when she was thinking. "Have your financial team prepare a detailed recovery plan. Send it to Andrew Matthews by the end of the week." Marcelo nodded, a glimmer of hope in his expression. "Thank you, Camilla." "Don't thank me yet. I haven't agreed to anything." After he left, Camilla called Andrew into her office and explained the situation. "We could foreclose now," Andrew suggested. "Take control of the company entirely." "We could," Camilla agreed. "But that's not the best return on our investment. They're intellectual property and design patents have value, but only with the right people executing them." "And you think Marcelo is still the right person, after everything?" Camilla leaned back in her chair, considering the question. "I think he's trying to be. Whether he succeeds, that remains to be seen." That evening, Camilla invited Lucia over for dinner at her penthouse. As they sat on the balcony with glasses of wine, Camilla recounted her meeting with Marcelo. So his sister and brother-in-law were stealing from their own family business. Lucia shook her head in disbelief. "That family is a mess." "Apparently so," Camilla agreed. "The question is what to do about it." "What do you mean? You're not actually considering helping him, are you?" Camilla looked out at the city lights. "Not him, necessarily. But there are 50 employees at Santana Architects whose livelihoods depend on the company surviving." "Since when do you care about Marcelo's employees?" Lucia asked skeptically. "Since I became their de facto boss by buying the company's debt," Camilla replied. "With Eduardo and Renata gone, the company might actually have a chance." Lucia studied her friend carefully. "This isn't about lingering feelings for Marcelo, is it?" "Of course not," Camilla said quickly, perhaps too quickly. "It's about protecting my investment." "Mm-hmm," Lucia hummed doubtfully. "Just be careful. That man broke your heart once. Don't give him the chance to do it again." "My heart isn't involved," Camilla insisted. Just my business sense. Later that night, after Lucia had gone, Camilla sat alone with her thoughts. Was she being foolish even considering helping Santana Architects recover? Or was it truly just a sound business decision? She picked up her phone, scrolling to James's number. She could call him, get his perspective. He'd understand the business angle without assuming she was being sentimental. Before she could decide, a text message arrived from an unknown number. "Thank you for listening today. Whatever you decide, I want you to know how sorry I am for everything. Not just the business issues, but for hurting you. You deserved better." Camilla stared at the message, unsure how to feel. She eventually set the phone down without responding. Some wounds were still too raw to poke at. The next morning, Camilla arrived at her office to find a large envelope on her desk. Inside was a detailed recovery plan for Santana Architects, along with a personal note from Marcelo. As requested, no shortcuts this time. She spent the morning reviewing the plan with Andrew and her financial team. It was ambitious but surprisingly solid, cutting unnecessary expenses, refocusing on profitable sectors, and leveraging their strongest design patents. It could work, Andrew admitted reluctantly, but it would require additional capital in the short term. "How much?" Camilla asked. "Another 5 million minimum, with no guarantee of return." She nodded thoughtfully. "Schedule a meeting with Marcelo for tomorrow. I want to discuss this in person." That afternoon, Camilla's schedule took her to the construction site of the community housing project. Work had begun in earnest, with the foundation already taking shape. As she surveyed the progress, she noticed a familiar figure speaking with the construction foreman, Marcelo. He hadn't seen her yet, engrossed in examining the blueprints spread out on a makeshift table. His expression was focused, pointing out details to the foreman with genuine enthusiasm. This was the Marcelo she had first fallen for, passionate about his work, attentive to detail. As if sensing her gaze, he looked up, surprise registering on his face when he spotted her. After a brief word to the foreman, he walked over to where she stood. "I didn't know you'd be here today," he said. "I was just checking the foundation work." "The project team said there were some questions about the design," Camilla explained. "Nothing serious," Marcelo assured her. "Just clarifying some details about the community center portion. We added some energy-efficient features that weren't in the original plan." Camilla raised an eyebrow. "At whose expense?" "Mine," he replied simply. "Or rather, the firm's. Consider it interest on our debt." She studied him, trying to reconcile this version of Marcelo with the man who had plotted to steal her fortune. "Why are you really here, Marcelo? This project doesn't require the principal architect's personal attention." He looked out over the construction site before answering. "Because this is what I always wanted to do. Create spaces that matter, buildings that serve a purpose beyond just looking impressive. Before the financial troubles, before my family pushed me to target me," Camilla finished for him. Marcelo winced but nodded. "Yes, before all that, this was my passion. I lost sight of it somewhere along the way." Something in his voice rang true, making Camilla uncomfortable. It was easier when he was just a villain in her story. "I received your recovery plan," she said, changing the subject. "My team is reviewing it. And I'll let you know," she replied, turning to leave. "I have another appointment." That evening, Camilla met James for drinks at a rooftop bar downtown. As the sun set over the city, casting everything in a golden glow, she found herself recounting her encounter with Marcelo. "Sounds like he's trying to make amends," James observed, sipping his scotch. "Or trying to manipulate me again," Camilla countered. "Possibly," James agreed. "But people can change when they hit rock bottom. Losing you, nearly losing his company, that's a powerful wake-up call." Camilla sighed, swirling the wine in her glass. "Even if he has changed, it doesn't erase what he did." "No, it doesn't." James reached for her hand, his touch gentle. "But maybe it's not about forgiving him. Maybe it's about not letting what he did change who you are." "What do you mean?" "The Camilla I've known for years is smart, yes, and tough, when needed. But she's also fair and compassionate. She doesn't let personal feelings, good or bad, cloud her business judgment." Camilla considered his words. So you think I should approve the additional funding? I think you should do whatever makes the most business sense, James replied. Just don't reject a good deal because you're afraid of looking foolish. She squeezed his hand in thanks. When did you get so wise? He smiled. Around the same time I got these gray hairs. The next day, Camilla sat across from Marcelo in her conference room. Andrew was present, along with legal representatives from both sides. Your recovery plan has potential, Camilla began, but it requires additional capital that puts my investment at further risk. Marcelo nodded, his expression serious. I understand. I'm prepared to offer personal guarantees, my remaining assets, future earnings. That won't be necessary, she replied, sliding a document across the table. These are my terms. Marcelo read through the paper, his eyebrows rising. You're offering the capital in exchange for 40% ownership of Santana Architects? Correct. I'm converting part of the debt to equity. The rest remains on the restructured payment schedule. Andrew explained the details while Camilla watched Marcelo's reaction. He was taking it seriously, asking intelligent questions about the terms. No attempts at charm or manipulation, just straightforward business discussion. When they had gone through all the points, Marcelo looked up at Camilla. This is more than fair. Why? Because despite everything, your company has value, she answered, and because 50 families deserve their homes done right. Marcelo studied her for a moment, then nodded. I accept your terms, but I'd like to add one condition of my own, which is, I want it in writing that my parents' living expenses will be provided for, regardless of what happens to me or the company. They've lost everything because of Eduardo and Renata's actions, and my own poor decisions. Camilla hadn't expected this. That's unusually selfless of you. They're my parents, he said simply. Despite their flaws, they don't deserve to suffer for mistakes they didn't fully understand. After a pause, Camilla nodded. We can add that clause. Andrew will draft it. The meeting concluded with handshakes all around. As Marcelo prepared to leave, he turned back to Camilla. Thank you for giving the company a second chance. I won't waste it. See that you don't, she replied. This is a business partnership now, nothing more. I'll expect regular reports and transparency in all operations. You'll have it, he promised. Complete honesty from now on. After he left, Andrew gave Camilla a questioning look. Are you sure about this? It's an unusual level of involvement with someone who tried to con you. I'm not involved with him, Camilla corrected. I'm invested in his company. There's a difference. But as she returned to her office, Camilla wondered if she was being entirely honest with herself. Something about Marcelo's request for his parents had touched her, reminded her of the man she thought she knew before the betrayal. That night, as Camilla prepared for bed, her phone rang with Lucia's ringtone. I heard about the deal with Santana Architects, Lucia said without preamble. James told me. Of course he did, Camilla sighed. It's a sound investment, Lucia. But why not just foreclose and be done with it? Why stay connected to them at all? Camilla sat on the edge of her bed, considering the question she'd been asking herself all day. Because sometimes the greater victory isn't in destroying your enemy, but in transforming them into something better. There was a long pause before Lucia spoke again. Just promise me you'll be careful. I worry about you. I know you do, Camilla smiled. But I'm going into this with my eyes wide open. No more illusions about Marcelo Santana. After ending the call, Camilla walked to her window, looking out at the city night. The past months had been a roller coaster of emotions, from the joy of believing in love again to the crushing pain of betrayal, and now to this strange new territory of cautious business partnership. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing: she wouldn't allow fear to drive her decisions. Camila Vasconcelos had built her empire by taking calculated risks, and she wouldn't stop now, not even when the risk involved the man who had broken her heart. Whether Marcelo had truly changed remained to be seen, but Camilla had definitely changed. She was stronger now, wiser, and more determined than ever to protect what was hers while staying true to herself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for tonight, she would rest, secure in the knowledge that whatever happened, she was prepared. to face it head-on, as she always had, as she always would. 6 months had passed since Camilla had invested in Santana Architects. Spring had given way to summer, and now autumn leaves were beginning to fall across the city. The community housing project was nearing completion, ahead of schedule and under budget, a testament to the renewed focus and dedication of Marcelo and his team. Camilla's car pulled up to the construction site for her monthly inspection. These visits had become routine, though she still felt a flutter of uncertainty whenever she knew she would see Marcelo. Their interactions had remained strictly professional, respectful, but distant. Ms. Vasconcelos greeted the site manager. "Mr. Santana is in the community center building if you'd like to see the latest progress." Camilla nodded, making her way through the bustling construction area. Workers called out greetings as she passed. Over the months she had gotten to know many of them, taking an interest in their lives and families. Inside the partially completed community center, natural light streamed through large windows, illuminating the spacious interior. Marcelo stood in the center of the room discussing something with one of the engineers. He looked different than he had 6 months ago, more at ease in his own skin, his focus entirely on the work rather than on keeping up appearances. He noticed her and excused himself from the conversation. "Camilla, I didn't know you were coming." "Today, monthly inspection," she reminded him. "The project looks good. It's coming together even better than we planned," he said, his enthusiasm evident. "The solar panels arrived yesterday. They'll reduce the energy costs for residents by nearly 30%. As they walked through the building, Marcelo explained the various features that had been incorporated to make the homes both comfortable and affordable to maintain. His passion for the project was obvious, reminiscent of the man she had first met and fallen for. "The families can begin moving in next month," he explained, "just in time for the holidays." Camilla nodded, genuinely impressed. "You've done good work here, Marcelo." A flash of surprise crossed his face at the compliment, followed by quiet gratitude. "It means a lot to hear you say that." They continued the tour in companionable silence, the awkwardness that had characterized their early meetings now mostly gone. As they finished their inspection, Marcelo hesitated before speaking. "There's something I'd like to discuss with you if you have time. It's about the company." "Is there a problem?" Camilla asked, immediately alert. "No," he assured her. "Quite. The opposite, actually. But it's complicated. Perhaps we could discuss it over coffee." Camilla considered for a moment. Their business relationship had been running smoothly, with Santana Architects showing steady improvement under the new arrangement. But she still maintained her emotional distance. "Coffee is fine," she decided. "There's a cafe near my office." An hour later, they sat at a quiet corner table, 2 cups of coffee between them. The cafe was modern and neutral, not a place that held any memories for either of them. "The company has recovered more quickly than projected," Marcelo began, opening a portfolio on the table. "The last quarter showed a 20% increase in revenue." Camilla reviewed the figures he presented, noting with approval the healthy financial indicators. Andrew mentioned the positive trends in his last report. "The new commercial contracts have been particularly successful." "Yes," Marcelo agreed, "but that's not what I wanted to discuss." He took a deep breath before continuing. "I've received an offer from Blackstone Development Group. They want to buy Santana Architects, all of it." Camilla looked up from the papers, surprised. "Blackstone is one of the largest development firms in the country. What are they offering?" "Enough to pay off all remaining debt and provide a substantial profit for both of us," Marcelo said, sliding another document across the table. "The details are all there." Camilla scanned the numbers, her business mind immediately calculating the return on her investment. It was significant, far better than she had anticipated when she first agreed to the partnership. "This is a very good offer," she acknowledged, "but I'm curious why you're bringing it to me first. Under our agreement, you're not obligated to sell your shares if I sell mine." Marcelo looked down at his coffee before meeting her eyes. "Because I wanted your opinion, and because whatever decision is made, I wanted us to make it together. We're partners now." "Business partners," Camilla clarified. "Yes," he nodded. "Business partners." She studied his face, looking for any sign of the manipulation she had once discovered behind his charm, but all she saw was straightforward honesty and perhaps a trace of regret for what might have been. "What do you want to do, Marcelo? This is your father's company, your legacy." He considered the question seriously. 6 months ago, I would have said no without hesitation. But now, I've been thinking about starting fresh, a smaller firm focused on the kind of projects that matter to me, like the community housing. "You'd be walking away from a name that's been established for decades," Camilla pointed out. "A name that I nearly destroyed," Marcelo countered. "Maybe it's time for something new, something built on honest work rather than family connections or," he hesitated, "or manipulation." The word hung between them, acknowledging their shared past without dwelling on it. "I'll need time to review this thoroughly," Camilla said finally. "Have Andrew and the legal team analyze all the details." "Of course," Marcelo agreed. "There's no rush. Blackstone is giving us 2 weeks to decide." As they prepared to leave, Marcelo paused. "How are things?" "With James Reynolds. Lucia mentioned you've been seeing each other." The question caught Camilla off guard. "We're friends. He's been supportive through all of this." "He's a good man," Marcelo said sincerely. "I'm glad you have someone like that in your life." Before Camilla could respond, her phone rang. Patricia calling about an urgent matter at the office. She excused herself, and as she walked away, found herself unsettled by the conversation, not because Marcelo had asked about James, but because of her own reluctance to define exactly what James was to her. That evening, Camilla found herself at a charity gala with James. She wore an elegant black gown, and he looked handsome in his tuxedo. They made an impressive couple, drawing appreciative glances as they moved through the crowd. "You seem distracted tonight," James observed as they shared a dance. "Is everything okay?" Camilla considered deflecting but decided on honesty. "Marcelo brought me an offer today. Blackstone wants to buy Santana Architects." "That's a significant development," James said thoughtfully. "What are you going to do?" "From a business perspective, it makes sense to accept. The return would be excellent." "But," James prompted gently, "but I'm not sure it's the right move for the company, the employees, the projects in development." James studied her face. "Are you concerned about the company or about Marcelo?" "What do you mean?" "I mean," James said carefully, "that you've been increasingly invested in Santana Architects over the past 6 months, and not just financially." Camilla started to object, but James continued. "I care about you, Camilla. We've built something good together these past months. But I've always sensed that there's unfinished business between you and Marcelo." "He betrayed me," Camilla reminded him. "Used me." "Yes, he did," James agreed. "And yet, you gave him a second chance professionally. You've watched him rebuild his company and his integrity. That's bound to affect how you see him." Camilla didn't have an answer. James was right. Her feelings about Marcelo had become complicated. She had seen him change, watched him work tirelessly to redeem himself, not just in her eyes, but in his own. "I don't know what I feel anymore," she admitted. "And that's not fair to you." James pulled her a little closer in their dance. "Life rarely gives us clean endings, Camilla. Sometimes we have to revisit the past before we can truly move forward." The next morning, Camilla met with her financial team to discuss the Blackstone offer. After hours of analysis, the conclusion was clear. Accepting would be highly profitable. "Financially, it's a no-brainer," Andrew summarized. "But there are other considerations." "Such as?" Camilla asked. "The community project Santana has taken on recently would likely be deprioritized under Blackstone's management. They're more focused on luxury developments." Camilla nodded, having had the same thought. "What about the employees?" "Most would be retained, but upper management would certainly change, including Marcelo's position." That gave her pause. After all his work to rebuild, would Marcelo be pushed out of his own company? After the meeting, Camilla drove to the community housing project. Construction was winding down, with landscapers planting trees and shrubs around the completed buildings. She walked through one of the finished apartments, modest but thoughtfully designed, with clever storage solutions and energy-efficient appliances. This was Marcelo's vision coming to life. Not the glamorous high-rises that had made Santana architects famous, but homes that real people would live in and cherish. It revealed a side of him she had glimpsed during their relationship, but had never fully appreciated. Her phone rang, displaying Lucia's name. "I just had lunch with James," Lucia said when she answered. "Let me guess, he told you about my Marcelo situation?" Camilla sighed. "He's worried about you," Lucia replied. "And frankly, so am I. Are you actually considering turning down this offer because of Marcelo?" "It's not that simple," Camilla protested. "There are many factors to consider, such as the fact that you might still have feelings for the man who tried to con you out of millions," Lucia asked bluntly. "I don't know what I feel," Camilla admitted, "but I do know that he's changed. The Marcelo I see now is more like the man I thought I was falling in love with originally, except this time it's not an act." Lucia was quiet for a moment. "You know I'll support whatever you decide. I just don't want to see you hurt again." "Neither do I," Camilla agreed softly. After ending the call, Camilla walked to the central garden area of the housing complex. Workers were installing benches around a small playground. Children would play here soon. Families would build lives in these homes. The thought filled her with unexpected warmth. "It's coming together nicely," came a voice behind her. Camilla turned to find Victor, Santana, Marcelo's father, walking slowly toward her with the aid of a cane. Their paths had crossed occasionally over the past months, but they had never spoken directly. "Mr. Santana," she greeted him with polite surprise. "I didn't know you visited the site." "I come every week," he said, lowering himself carefully onto a newly installed bench, "to see what my son is building. Would you join me for a moment?" Camilla hesitated but sat beside him. The older man looked much frailer than when she had first met him at the Santana home all those months ago. "I owe you an apology, Miss Vasconcelos," Victor began. "For my part in what happened, I should have spoken up when I saw what Gloria and the others were planning." "But you didn't," Camilla noted, not unkindly. "No," he agreed sadly. "I've spent my life going along to keep the peace. It cost me my self-respect and nearly cost my son his soul." Camilla was surprised by his candor. "Marcelo made his own choices." "Yes, he did," Victor nodded. "Bad ones influenced by a lifetime of his mother's ambitions and his sister's greed. But the man he's become these past months, that's the son I always hoped he would be. He has worked hard to rebuild," Camilla acknowledged. Victor turned to face her directly. "He told me about the Blackstone offer. Did you know he's planning to refuse his share? To let his portion go to the employee pension fund instead?" This was news to Camilla. "No, I didn't know that." "He doesn't want you to know," Victor explained. "He doesn't want it to influence your decision, but I thought you should understand who he is now before you decide." As Victor struggled to stand, Camilla offered her arm for support. The old man patted her hand gratefully. "Whatever you decide about the company," he said, "know that my son's greatest regret isn't losing his company or his fortune. It's losing you." Camilla watched as Victor slowly made his way toward the waiting car, his words echoing in her mind. She had no reason to trust him. He was Marcelo's father, after all. And yet, something in his sincerity had touched her. That evening, she called Marcelo and asked him to meet her at her office the next morning to discuss the Blackstone offer. All night, she found herself torn between the logical business decision and the more complicated path her heart was suggesting. When Marcelo arrived at her office, he looked as if he hadn't slept much either. They sat at her conference table, the Blackstone documents between them. "I've made my decision," Camilla began. "Before you tell me," Marcelo interrupted, "there's something you should know. Regardless of what you decide, I'm planning to donate my portion of the proceeds to set up a fund for the employees." Camilla nodded. Victor's words confirmed. "Your father told me." Surprise flashed across Marcelo's face. "He had no right to do that." "Perhaps not," Camilla agreed, "but I'm glad he did. It helped me understand something important." "What's that?" "That the man sitting across from me now is someone I could have loved genuinely. Someone worth trusting." Marcelo's expression softened with both hope and regret. "Camilla," she held. upper hand to stop him. But that doesn't change our past. What happened between us can't be erased or forgotten. I know, he said quietly. I'll live with that regret for the rest of my life. Camilla took a deep breath before continuing. I'm declining the Blackstone offer for my shares. Instead, I'd like to propose a new arrangement. She slid a folder across the table. Inside was a proposal to restructure their partnership, maintaining their investment in Santana Architects, but also creating a new, separate venture focused exclusively on community-centered projects. A new company? Marcelo asked, studying the documents. A fresh start, Camilla corrected. Equal partnership focused on the work you're clearly passionate about, the work that matters. Why would you do this? Marcelo looked genuinely bewildered. After everything that happened, why would you want to build something new with me? Camilla considered her answer carefully. Because I've spent 6 months watching you rebuild your company and your integrity. Because the passion you've shown for these community projects is real and valuable. And because sometimes moving forward means finding a new path, not just avoiding the old one. Marcelo studied her face, searching for any sign of hesitation. And what about James? James and I have decided we're better as friends, Camilla said quietly. He helped me realize some important things about myself and about forgiveness. I don't deserve your forgiveness, Marcelo said honestly. Maybe not, Camilla agreed. But I deserve to move past the anger and hurt. I deserve to make choices based on who I am and what I want, not in reaction to what was done to me. She stood, walking to the window that overlooked the city. I'm not saying we can go back to what we were. That's impossible. Too much has happened. I understand, Marcelo said, joining her at the window. But maybe, Camilla continued, choosing her words with care, maybe we can build something new, something based on truth and mutual respect. Starting with this company. Partners, Marcelo said, the word holding layers of meaning. Business partners, Camilla clarified, but with a small smile that softened the distinction. For now. For now, he repeated, hope carefully contained in his voice. I can work with that. As they stood side by side, looking out at the city they both loved, Camilla felt a sense of peace that had eluded her for months. She didn't know what the future held for them, whether this new partnership would remain strictly professional or eventually grow into something more. But for the first time since discovering Marcelo's betrayal, she wasn't afraid to find out. She had rediscovered her strength, protected her legacy, and reclaimed her right to make choices based on hope rather than fear. 3 months later, Camilla stood on the stage at the grand opening of the community housing project. Beside her were Marcelo, the mayor, and representatives from local community organizations. As she prepared to cut the ribbon, she glanced at the crowd gathered for the celebration. Lucia was there, grinning proudly. James stood nearby, offering an encouraging nod. Even Victor and Gloria Santana were present, the latter having undergone her own journey of reflection and change in recent months. This project represents the best of what we can accomplish when we focus on building for the future, Camilla told the crowd. When we choose to create rather than destroy, to collaborate rather than compete. Her eyes met Marcelo's briefly, an understanding passing between them that went beyond words. They had both been changed by their journey, wounded certainly, but also strengthened, wiser. After the ceremony, as families began touring their new homes, Marcelo approached Camilla, keeping a respectful distance that had characterized their interactions these past months. We did it, he said simply. We did, she agreed. The first of many, I hope. About that, Marcelo handed her a folder. I've been working on a new design, another community project, this time focused on affordable senior housing. Camilla opened the folder, impressed by the preliminary sketches. It's beautiful work. I was thinking, Marcelo said carefully, that maybe we could discuss it over dinner. Strictly business, of course. Camilla studied him for a moment, seeing the man he had become, the man who had earned her professional respect and was patiently waiting to see if anything more might be possible. Dinner would be nice, she agreed with a small smile. We can start with business and see where the conversation leads. As they walked together among the happy families exploring their new homes, Camilla felt neither the blind trust of their early relationship nor the bitter pain of betrayal that had followed. Instead, she felt something new, a cautious optimism grounded in reality, in the knowledge that true connections are built not on grand gestures or perfect appearances, but on honesty, respect, and the daily choice to be worthy of another's trust. Whether she and Marcelo would find their way back to love remained to be seen. But whatever happened, Camilla knew she was making choices from a position of strength, with her eyes wide open and her heart cautiously hopeful. The truth that had once been hidden behind walls had now been brought into the light. And in that light, something new and genuine had the chance to grow if they were both brave enough to nurture it. For now, that possibility was enough. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges and revelations, but Camila Vasconcelos was ready to face them all, no longer afraid of what might be revealed between the walls of her heart.